So it has finally happened. After more than a year of dabbling with cheap micro four thirds lenses and camera gear, I have managed to put two and two together. What I have in front of me is a Lumix 14-42 kit lens, the first generation, the cheap variant of the micro four thirds lens ecosystem, and well, the better performing original, the OG, the Lumix 14-45, just the same, another kit lens. To the untrained eye, these might seem, near as makes no difference, identical in terms of specs and, well, market placement, construction, core philosophy and so on. These are the cheap lenses of the micro four thirds entry from Panasonic. What I want to determine today is how much better value the 14-45 actually is compared to the 14-42. Now I have well-educated reasons to declare the 14-45 the superior lens compared to the 14-42, and we'll get to that in due time. In the meantime, lest we forget what I am actually trying to elaborate here, let's get on with analyzing the construction of these two lenses. So let me just take off all the caps here. This little lens came with a nice UV filter on top, which to my mind is another fancy way of saying glass protection over the lens. And well, take the bottom lid as well and show them side by side. Now, in terms of dimensions, there's really not much to it. There's the same circumference, the same diameter, the same overall shape. The 14-42 is a bit taller and weighs quite a bit less, but that's due to the materials used. Now, in terms of build quality, sure, the 14-42 mimics the same materials and core design philosophy of the original 14-45. However, as you can clearly see, starting from the bottom, we have a plastic lens mount instead of an all-metal one for the Lumix 14-45. The materials used, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but yeah, the quality, although plastic on the outside for the Lumix 14-45 as well as for the 14-42, well, the quality on the 14-45 is quite significantly higher. Also, you can see the well, the more complex lens mechanism of the 14-45 even on top here, with a lot nicer designed, well, elements and light absorbing surrounds. However, these are just minor details that only a tech geek like myself could actually pay attention to. So with that out of the way, I think it's time we took these two lenses out for a spin. And if you want to see a more in-depth view and comparison of the 14-45 to other affordable lenses, I suggest you check out my videos, because I have done a full series on affordable and cheap micro four thirds lenses. And as such, I plan to only compare these two lenses in terms of focus abilities, low light details, and well, distortion, given they have the same focal range of 14 to, near as makes no difference, 45 or 42 millimeters. Now, to give both these lenses a bit of a fighting chance, I will of course pair them with the Lumix GX800 camera shown here. So, conclusions are not hard to come by, although the differences are not as high as one might expect. So let's start with the easy stuff. In terms of video performance, pairing each of these two lenses with the Lumix GX800 that I have here, well, in both cases, the images produced were decent enough, but nothing really that impressive. Maybe in terms of stability, the Lumix 14 to 42 had a slight advantage over the older Lumix 14 to 45, but I shall leave you to decide that based on the samples shown. Now, in terms of low light conditions, something interesting happened. Well, it's not really low light as contrasted incorrect light in an attic with lighting hitting from a 45-degree angle from a skylight. There we can see that actually the Lumix 14 to 42 has better performance, at least to my mind, compared to the older 14 to 45. Now, this might sound counterintuitive to you, given the fact that the Lumix 14 to 45 uses better quality glass and materials, but that is due to the autofocus system. I believe that the autofocus and the faster response of the 14 to 42 give it a slight advantage, an edge when it comes to handling difficult lighting situation and choosing the optimal setting in a snap while focusing automatically. Now, in terms of detail and distortion, I still think the 14 to 45 has a slight edge when it comes to the corners of the image or the less lit, the less lighted areas of the photo. As you can see right here, the edge of the chair compared to the books in the background, well, I believe the 14 to 45 gives out better results than the 14 to 42. There is also a slight difference in color handling, and well, this is still the domain of the 14 to 45. I believe the better built lens, the better materials used in constructing these lenses, these older generation 14 to 45 lenses, give out much better results, but these are isolated cases like I am showing you here right now with the flowers, and well, not really that discernible, but a nice detail to know when you're handling this lens. Overall though, I would say that the differences are not that significant, and well, the more important aspect that should weigh in when purchasing one of these lenses should be the price. If you can get the 14 to 42 at, let's say, about 60 euros and the 14 to 45 in good conditions, since they are becoming more scarce, are north of 100 euros, I think there is no comparison. Realistically, I would not spend more than 80 euros on a 14 to 45 and 70 euros on a 14 to 42. Anything above that is really asking too much of these lenses as a seller and as a potential user. At north of 100 euros, you could simply go out and buy a Lumix 12 to 60 millimeter, which, although is very expensive, is a much newer lens and it's a better all-round performer than both of these lenses. As for me though, I shall continue to purchase, hoard, collect and dabble in micro four thirds camera gear and other obsolete tech stuff, so you don't have to. I thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.